So yeah, I don't have a command to call him back. I know that triggers some people. Come on. But, well, he's my dog, not yours. You get to deal with it. Welcome to America. I got a leash, a braided leather leash. Works better than a command word. Works every time. We tried to train him, my wife and I did. We took him to, it's called Charcoal Pit Bull Rescue. And they offer training, and the money goes to the pit bull rescue. And if you're wondering why pit bulls, it's because my first dog was a pit bull. He was a rescue from the Sacramento Animal Shelter on Front Street, and he was about to. He was going to get put down when we got him. He was the best dog ever, and then when he passed, we got this guy from Bradshaw Animal Shelter. Sad thing is that like auditors, pit bulls are misunderstood creatures. They can do a lot of harm if they're not trained properly, but if you control them, they always have good intentions. So the shelters are always full of them. So why get a dog that everybody else is going to adopt when you can get a lovely, wonderful, this guy, he's just full of play. All he wants to do is play. I drop him off at a puppy play care a couple times a week so he can get his run-ins out. And they actually use him with the smaller dogs because he's just the friendliest dog ever. And yeah, he's a good boy. He just wants to play though. So if it triggers you that I don't have him with the command word, here's him. There's a couple other dogs right there. He's a good boy. So what I want to talk about today is, speaking of dogs needing training, auditors need training, except I don't really want to try to train auditors this morning. This is going to be for all the people who watch the auditor videos and wonder what exactly the auditors are doing wrong that gets them in trouble with the police. Because if you're not attempting to audit, then you shouldn't do all the things that auditors are trying to do. You should probably film the police. I have no issues with that. I think that's probably a good idea. It establishes a record of what happened, and even if the police end up turning it off at a later point in time, you can still use it to kind of set the tone. If the police are saying that you were acting aggressive and you have video of you politely and calmly saying, "I don't answer questions," then it's going to be much more difficult for the police to then try to paint you as some sort of a ridiculously suspicious person. If you do get to film the entire interaction, you may be able to use it to rebut certain presumptions that are raised by the prosecution. And if nothing else, it may affect the behavior of the police. If you're polite and calm, it's going to keep them polite and calm. They know they're being videotaped. They know you're not escalating it. They know they can't say you're escalating it. So things get a little harder for them to play games with he said, she said. But my advice to people is, if you are in a stop and ID state, if you are detained, if you just say, "Hey, am I detained?" That's where you want to start the interaction. Don't talk to them. If they say hi, say hi back. But anything that they say that ends in a question mark, don't answer. Except with, "I don't answer questions." And they're going to mess with you. They're going to mess with you. They're going to say, "You don't answer questions?" And you're going to say, "Yeah." You just answered a question. It's psychological. They're trying to get you to answer their questions. They want to get you into a state where you're going to argue. So they're going to misstate the facts. They're going to misstate the nature of the law. They're going to try to get you to argue with them, because if they get you to argue with them, you're talking to them, you're giving them information, you're drawing out the stop, etc., etc. So you say, Am I being detained? Ask it once. If they don't want to answer, then leave. You put them in a position where even if they don't have reasonable suspicion at that point yet, they have to act on it. If they can detain you and continue the detention, they can use that time to develop reasonable suspicion to backwards justify the stop. So rule number one, don't answer questions. Even if they ask you, you don't answer questions, you say, I don't answer questions. Kenny Suter, watch his videos, learn his videos. He's the man at it. I have no faults with the way Kenny Suter does it. Every time a cop opens his mouth, Kenny Suter says, I don't answer questions. Is this your address on the license? I don't answer questions. I'm just trying to verify if this is your address on the license. What does it say on there? Well, I just want to make sure, because we're going to be sending out a mailing to your address. So I just want to make sure you have a good address. What does it say on the driver's license? Notice he's not answering questions. He never answers a question. He doesn't answer the stupid questions. He doesn't answer the easy questions. He doesn't answer the simple questions. He doesn't confirm or deny anything. He says, I don't answer questions. And it's fine if you want to ask the cops questions because, well, you're not answering questions at that point. But be careful. You know, you can actually give up things. You can give up information in your question, especially if it's a compound question. So step one, am I being detained? Step two, if you're not being detained or if the cop won't answer. I'm wearing capris again. Do you see capris? Ah, my capris start around my knees. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so am I being detained? If you're not being detained or if the cop refuses to answer, leave. If you're doing an audit, obviously, then you're not going to do that because you want the interaction. And you want to make a point that you are allowed to film there. So this isn't for auditors. So step one, am I being detained? Step two, leave. Step three, don't answer any questions. Step four, if you are being detained and you are in a stop and ID state, make sure you're aware of it. If you're being detained, then you have to give up ID. I would recommend just handing them your ID. They can't prolong things at that point. They can't ask multiple questions. You've handed them your ID. There's no doubt at that point you are seized for Fourth Amendment analysis because they have your ID. You're not reasonably capable of leaving at that point, so they can't argue that it's consensual. They've asked for your ID, you've handed them your ID. You are definitely being detained, and that gives you Fourth Amendment protection. Don't answer any questions. I can't repeat that often enough or loud enough. Don't answer any questions. When they give you your ID back, ask, am I free to leave? Just once. This isn't a shouting match. I know your adrenaline's going to be pumping. I know you're going to be all amped up. But just say, hey, am I free to leave? If they say no, then say, okay, just let me know when I'm free to leave, and I'm just going to remain silent until then. And then do so. Having done so, then you're about as safe as you could possibly be unless they actually have you on some sort of charge. So that's my advice. Don't answer questions. Ask if you're detained. Just once. I don't know, am I free to go? The Reddit, am I free to go? People are making fun of those who abuse that sort of thing. Am I being detained? Am I free to go? Am I being detained? Am I free to go? The Supreme Court's already determined that you're detained if you are seized by force or you submit to a show of authority. So you say, am I being detained? They say, I'm just trying to talk to you. And then you leave, you're forcing them. You're forcing them to either submit you to their authority by force or by actually being specific that you're being detained. And you don't have to argue to do it. It's just one, am I free to go? Or am I being detained? Just once. And then you turn around and you walk away if they don't answer. Done. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And I don't know if you've ever watched the videos of people who do that, but there's a good amount of time where they actually just walk away and the police don't follow him because the police weren't looking for that. They were looking for the confrontation. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.